Want to know what's going on in Belvedere, Illinois, or around the world? Then tune to BNNSradio.com on your computer or your mobile device and give us a listen. That's BNNSradio.com. The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and guest do not necessarily reflect those of this station, the station's network, any other affiliates under this network, or its sponsors. Unless they do, and then we'll totally take credit for them, because this is radio, and that's how we roll.
Here we go.
News, sports, comedy, politics, everything you would expect in a morning show. Faster than the fastest nightmare. Brighter than the dullest dream.
Right here.
Right now. The Morning Show with Uncle Bill. Grab your coffee and hang on. For the next 2 hours, the unexpected will haunt you, entertain you, and drive you absolutely insane. So let's get started. Here's Uncle Bill.
Whoa! Hey! Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, you know, I am really amazed. We have a packed house here today. I really expected, because we had a day off yesterday. I apologize for doing reruns. I know people hate reruns, but how many of you actually tuned in to the rerun yesterday and listened to it? Just as I thought. Oh, hey, Diane's in there this morning. Diane, do you have your Skype turned on? And Perry's in there. And Miss Liz is there this morning. I don't know what she's doing this morning. And Perry has a fine new deck. Well, it's not new, but it looks new. He's been out there working feverishly, whatever. And he's been working very hard to get that deck, and it's pristine. I'll tell you, it's pretty. About the same color as our new deck, but mine's new. Yeah, Perry, mine's new. You just get a repaint job. I get a new one, and I don't ever have to paint it again, ever. Oh, the life of, what do I say? How do I say it? Forget it. Anyway, this is the morning or the Wednesday edition of the Morning Show with Uncle Bill, and we are glad that you're all with us this morning. And Diane, if you'd like to get in with the chat this morning, with the Skype, you can this morning if you'd like. Big D is dragging his feet this morning, and we got some weird stuff going on. And by the way, you better enjoy today's show, because we've only got, let's see, I think we've only got like 10, maybe 11 shows left, and then we're off the air. And so are you. Because according to scientists, or according to predictionists, whatever, doomsday is 33 days following a solar eclipse, or a solar eclipse. And so doomsday is in, let's see, that was on Monday, and so that takes 2 days. So to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so that's 3 days. So we got 30 days left. And then you have to cut down the times that we don't air. So we've only got like 10, 11 shows left to go. And it's doomsday for us, folks. Did you know that? Did you know that? I'll bet it's doomsday for some people, because there was a lot of people that were watching that solar eclipse without glasses on. All that and more coming up on this edition of The Morning Show with Uncle Bill.
Sometimes I'm the guy with the boys kicking it back, or the guy with a guitar singing on a country track. I might be the guy with an ice cold can, stirring up dust on some old farmland. When I walk into the party with you, girl, you change all that. And I'm just the guy with the girl everybody wants to know, wishing you were there alone, wondering how I ever got your little hand in mine, looking over at you like, ain't she beautiful? I'm invisible, but I'll stand right there and smile. You're right beside me, oh, and I see the same thing they're seeing, but I don't mind being the guy with the girl, no. It's funny watching them do the way they do. They come walking up to me, but they only want to talk to you. And I don't blame them that they're hypnotized. They keep staring at your heartbreak eyes. It's like their heart starts stopping when you come walking into the room. And I turn into the guy with the girl everybody wants to know, wishing you were there alone, wondering how I ever got your little hand in mine, looking over at you like, ain't she beautiful? I'm invisible, but I'll stand right there and smile. You're right beside me, oh, and I see the same thing they're seeing, but I don't mind being the guy with the girl. The guy that don't know how he got her, but he ain't never gonna let her, never gonna let her go. Everybody wants to know, wishing you were there alone, wondering how I ever got your little hand in mine, looking over at you like, ain't she beautiful? I'm invisible, but I'll stand right there and smile. You're right beside me, oh, and I see the same thing they're seeing, but I don't mind being the guy with the girl. No, I don't mind being the guy with the girl.
The Morning Show, 120 minutes of your life you'll never get back on BNNS Radio. Uncle Bill would like to apologize in advance for whatever he may say tomorrow. The Morning Show with Uncle Bill on BNNS Radio.
All right, we are back. And, you know, I just have to laugh. You know, where do these people come from? By the way, joining us this morning also on the show, and I got to turn this thing off here because it keeps, everybody complains whenever this thing comes up, says, you got a text message. By the way, joining us all the way from Omaha is my crack research analyst and resource center is Craig from Omaha. Good morning, Craig.
Good morning, Bill.
How are you this morning?
Good. I hope you're the same.
Oh, we are. Yeah, we're in a good mood today. We had the day off, although I spent most of the day doing a lot. I mean, we had a very long 9:30 to 12:30 meeting yesterday, and then what did I do in the afternoon? I had a couple things to do in the afternoon, and then we had to go to an ice cream social yesterday afternoon at 4:00, and it was well attended. It was a very beautiful, absolutely gorgeous day for an ice cream social, and all them homemade pies. Man, it just don't get any better than that. We will have our pie today because we didn't eat our pie at the ice cream social because we had the ice cream, but we didn't have the pie because last night was our annual picnic for our Lions Club. And it's a thank you picnic for all the people that work at our concession booth during the Boone County Fair. And it's our way of showing our appreciation for those people giving of their time. Also coming to you all the way from Nottingham is our good friend and the show host of Weird News Weekly is our good friend Diane. Good morning, Diane.
Good morning. Good afternoon for me.
Afternoon for you. I'm sorry. That's right. There is a time change. Well, see, didn't the eclipse change all that?
No, we didn't get it. It just bit off at the bottom, but it was so cloudy, nobody saw it here.
Yeah, we were the unfortunate ones too. We had people standing out here in the radio studio parking lot, and all the clouds kind of started to break up a little bit, and we thought, oh man, we're going to get to see part of it, and didn't happen. Clouds came back in, and it didn't. And in our location here, you said you just had a sliver.
Yeah, it was just like a little bite that was stuck out of it. I've seen that before.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of these eclipses, whether they're solar, lunar, whatever. But we were supposed to have an 87% blackout here, but it didn't even get dark. Of course, the skies were kind of dark anyway because we had dark clouds because we were having rain. So that does make a difference,
Oh, it certainly does, yeah.
So how is Diane?
I'm not too bad. I'm hopefully not still spreading bad luck around.
Good.
That has been happening.
What is your prediction here on this? You're a woman that likes to get into this kind of conversation. What about this doomsday prediction that is following the eclipse?
But which eclipse are they talking about? Because it happens every year somewhere.
Well, somebody, I don't know where the story is actually because I think it's a bunch of hooey. And it really, in my opinion, it's not worth even mentioning because it's so ludicrous. But the fact is that they are predicting doomsday 33 days following the eclipse. Like really, a solar eclipse is going to make a difference. Like you said, it's happening somewhere every week or month or something.
Every year, the sun goes in front of them. The moon goes in front of the sun. They meet up every year.
Yeah.
And more often than not, it's way out. It can be in the polar regions, so nobody sees it unless they get out there.
Well, they're saying here, they were talking on the news about, now they said the next complete solar eclipse is supposed to take place in 24 years. And some argue that it's 99 years. I don't know where that comes from. But actually, they were talking about now that the eclipse is over and you have these glasses that these most sought after glasses. People went absolutely crazy to buy these glasses when you could watch the solar eclipse so much easier by looking through a cracker. Reflecting the eclipse through a cracker, the hole in a cracker. But anyway, but everybody's got these glasses, and they say, "What do you do with the glasses now?" And of course, they encouraged people to recycle them, however that is. And then they said, "But put them away someplace where they're safe because we're going to have another eclipse in the U.S. in just 7 years."
Oh,
it's going to come down. It's going to come down from the north across Canada, down across Ohio, I think, and it'll scrape along the edge of Illinois and make a southwestern track, more south. I guess you'd call it southwest kind of a track across the U.S. So So what?
The big deal was that it's been 99 years since the eclipse went from coast to coast.
Oh, okay. Well, that could be. That could be. But everybody was making a big deal. But they say this happens every 24 years. So I don't know. We have an eclipse. I don't know. 7 years from now, where do they get 24 years? It's just, okay, when the event, and it just amazes me how they made such a big deal about it. And they're saying it's going to be the most photographed eclipse ever. Well, of course it is. Everybody's got a cell phone now with a camera built in. And of course they launched a couple of airplanes that flew at what the heck was it? Some 50,000 feet up. It was up to that edge of our atmosphere where you can just begin to see the curvature of the Earth. And they photographed the eclipse. They got some beautiful pictures of it. I don't deny that. But what is the significance of taking a picture of the moon blocking the sun other than the aurora around the outside of it?
Well, yeah, that is the most important part, because they can study the sun much better once the aurora is round it, and then of course you've got that what they call a gold diamond ring, and that's when everybody's supposed to cheer.
Yeah, Craig?
I watched last night on the news and on the national news, and NASA has put together a video from a satellite. It shows the eclipse shadow crossing the United States.
Right.
So black. Oh, you saw that?
Yep.
Have you seen that, Diane?
No, I haven't seen that.
It's worth looking at. It's from a satellite showing the Earth, and it just shows kind of a black shadow going catty corner across the United States. It's kind of cool.
They also showed a video from the aircraft that they put up there at 50-some thousand feet. Maybe it was higher than that, but it seemed for some reason 50,000 is staying in my mind. But they were showing the shadow as it moved across. I mean, you could see the curvature of the Earth, and you could see the shadow just moving across.
That's what I was talking about.
No, you're talking about a satellite picture that's showing the whole Earth.
Yes.
Or at least you can see the ball of the Earth. All you could see on this was just the crest or the top curvature of the planet. And you could see a shadow, but from a satellite view, that's several miles up in the sky, or I don't know how many miles they're up there, but you saw more of a dark dot moving across the.
It was time lapsed, of course.
It was yes, of course, because the whole event took a couple hours, but the actual blackout was only 2.616 minutes.
Couple things I'd like to get my 2 cents in. The glasses you mentioned, recycle. They say on the news if you recycle them, and I don't remember where you turn them in, they're going to send them to third world countries so the kids can have them to look at it next time there's an eclipse over there. Really? And then I forgot the other one. I'm sorry.
Well, what really got me to chuckling, my wife and I watched the eclipse on the TV. And we probably had by far the best picture of anybody.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You mentioned everyone's got a camera with a cell phone with a camera on it. I'd be willing to bet that within a couple months those pictures are deleted. What are you going to do with it?
Well,
you take crappy pictures of an eclipse. What are you going to do?
I don't think there's a cell phone out there equipped with the telephoto lens that's going to take to actually get a spectacular picture of the eclipse.
But Beatrice, Nebraska is southwest from Omaha, and it got the full eclipse. Bill Nye, the science guy, was there. It was a big deal in Beatrice. They went to some big stadium. And during the eclipse, you see all these people holding their cell phones up in front of them, filming this eclipse. Well, you can, just what you said, you get a lot better view. Go on a website or go watch television.
Yeah, I mean, just, and if you want a picture of the eclipse, go on the internet, and there's thousands of them. From different amounts of blackout, from everything from a sliver to total. I mean, if you want a picture, go just copy somebody's picture. It's ridiculous, but
the big. So it gets dark outside. Well, it gets dark every evening.
Yeah.
I looked at the window, and it was a little dark, but I didn't go out in the yard and stand there. So what? It's getting dark.
Well, it screwed up the birds and the animals because they thought it was nighttime, and they were very inactive for those 2 minutes. But you know what was really, I guess what really struck me funny, and I don't want to say hypocritical, but it was how ignorant people can really be, because for the last week and a half prior to the eclipse, major media was covering this once-in-a-lifetime event that was going to take place. And everybody had to rush out and buy glasses because they were giving all these warnings. Do not, under any circumstances, look at the sun without glasses on, or the eclipse without glasses on. And they were showing different ways, from punching a pinhole in a paper plate, projecting it onto another paper plate, holding up a soda cracker and projecting it through one of the holes. And my sister-in-law, they had a skylight in their kitchen, and the eclipse was actually projected through that skylight onto their kitchen floor, which I thought was kind of cute. But the thing that I'm leading up to is for a week and a half, that's all we heard about was the dangers of looking at the sun or the eclipse without glasses on. And so we were watching this on TV, and these guys with their microphones, oh, yes, we have 5,000, we have probably 2,000 to 3,000 to 5,000 people here, gathered here to watch this once-in-a-lifetime event. It's just remarkable. You can just feel the tension in the air as the moon draws closer, and they were just making. And then when the eclipse began, what does the TV announcer do? The field reporter, what does he do? He looks up at the sun or the eclipse with the glasses on. And then they go to a couple who are watching the eclipse, and they wanted to talk to the couple. And so the couple takes their glasses off, and they're talking to them. And they've got a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old sitting on their laps. And the kids are sitting there watching the eclipse, no glasses on. And the reporter doesn't say anything. Hey, your kids really need to have glasses on, or Mom and Dad, your kids shouldn't be looking at this. And it was like, I just wish that I was in the obstetrician business right now, because there's going to be a lot of rich eye doctors out there today. And the sad part of it is, and I feel bad for these people, because their ignorance is going to destroy their eyesight for the rest of their life. Because once you burn the back of your eye, the retina of your eye, it's unsalvageable. You're going to have this dark spot in your eye forever. And I guess the most critical or dangerous part was when that diamond effect, as Diane mentioned, that when that diamond effect began, that's when everybody looked up and went, ooh! And then they grabbed the glasses and put them on. It just, I don't know. I just felt the safest and best way for me personally to watch it was to go on TV, and it's like watching a basketball game. I've told you guys the story about me going to the Bulls basketball game in Chicago, and I would have had a better time sitting in my recliner at home than I had being in that basketball stadium.
We had people drive from all over the place to go so they could see this thing. Kearney, Nebraska is about 4 hours west of here, and they interviewed a guy that lived in Omaha, and he drove to Kearney, Nebraska just to see this thing. Well, Omaha got most of the eclipse. It's just a waste. A waste of a day to do it.
Well, other things that I've been reading about following the eclipse was that people were paying up to upwards of like $10,000, and they were paying $100 a day to park, or just $100 to park their car, so they could get out. And and it was like, okay. It's rip-off time. It's time for us to take advantage of a spectacular event. And I know Big D disagrees with me on this because, hey, if I got 20 acres, if I could get $100 a car, I'd park cars all over my yard too. Well, I don't agree with it, and I just think it's just against principles, my principles, to take advantage of people for a spectacular event.
How can you say that, Bill? Whenever I drive up there to visit you, you always charge me to park my trike in your driveway overnight.
Oh, well, that's different. You're family.
Can I just come in and say that Perry is saying that Craig's not very loud?
Yeah, Craig's got to get closer to the mic.
Okay. Is that any better?
Yes. Yeah.
Craig's trying a new setup today, so we don't know how it's going to work.
Yeah, we've been doing some experimenting. Because of Craig's physical condition, we had to make some adjustments, and so we're trying some new things, but it'll work out. 20 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock here in north central Illinois. And
what time is it over there, Diane?
It's 2:28
in the afternoon.
Yeah. 6 hour difference to Central Time and 5 to Eastern.
And currently here in Belvedere, we are experiencing 61 degrees under bright, clear sunshine. Lots of sunshine out there today. Absolutely clear. 4 miles per hour is the wind. There's even no direction. It's just a slight breeze. And it's going to be that way throughout the rest of the entire week and through to the weekend. Our next chance of any rain is on Monday, the 28th, and that's only a 50% chance. So they are predicting, the experts that claim to be the experts say that you're going to have to get the lawn sprinklers out and get your irrigation system turned on, because the grass is going to start to dry out now because of that. But the temperatures are going to stay into the mid-70s, low to mid-70s, which is great for this time of the year. And
I hear that.
That's D rolling around. D, you got to mute if you're going to roll around on your trike there. Are you riding that Harley into the studio this morning?
Yeah.
Ah, you got your mic booming.
Do I?
Yeah, we got that air sound, that wind sound when your voice comes out. When you're anything you do opens your mic, and we're getting that wind, your fan.
All right, is that better?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good morning.
How are you this morning? Besides late and tired.
Better.
Well, you shouldn't be tired. You had a long night's sleep.
No, I a good night's sleep.
Before we continue on, it's 68 degrees in Nottingham, by the way, where Diane is, at 2:30 in the afternoon. And later on today, Diane, they're calling for a 73% chance of some rainfall for you over there. Is that what your local forecasters are calling for?
Morning shower, light showers, outbreaks of sunshine during the afternoon, and 71 degrees.
Yeah, yep. Today they're expecting us. Oh, I got 70 degrees and 52 overnight for you there when the sun starts to go down.
Yeah, it does get a bit colder at night.
And let's see what's happening over in Omaha. It is 60 degrees there with lots of sunshine, clear, east winds at 2 miles per hour. And today, high of 81 in Omaha. So good weather there. Saturday and Sunday looks like it's going to be some thunder showers for Omaha on Saturday and Sunday. And let's see, Peggy wrote to me that she wasn't going to be on the show today or in the chat box today. She had something, I forget now what it was, but she wasn't going to be here today. So, but we welcome everybody that's in the chat box, including Perry. And let's see. The intro was the caster wheels cracking. Oh, Perry said it's 79 degrees there, high of 89, 10% chance of rain expected by Saturday. So that's what's going on with that. You know, a couple things that just kind of, this is going to be just kind of a little chit-chat day today, kind of a, by the way, for you people that are my age, maybe, let's see, let's check Craig out. Craig, how old were you? Were you born yet when Marilyn Monroe was the hottie?
I was born in 61. I think.
Well, yeah, because Kennedy was killed in 63, so he got elected. Let's see, what election was that? It would have been
1960.
Yeah, the 1960
or 62.
It was 1960 because even up to that point, every president that was elected with a zero on the end was assassinated.
See, that's why I was trying to think, because now we're on 2016, 2018. You know, there's, for some reason, they've jumped in numbers. But anyway, could because of the leap year, I don't know. But, well, so you were only 2 years old then, so you didn't know Marilyn Monroe.
You know, I like the old movies, so I've seen several of them with her in it, and I just don't get it. I think she doesn't sing well. She doesn't act well. She's pretty, and even then, I'd give her like maybe a 6.
Well, that was back in the days when Annette Funicello was the hot topic amongst men my age.
No, I think Annette was probably an 8. But
yeah,
I just didn't get the Marilyn Monroe thing.
I
I like women with curves.
Well, the reason I bring that up is because for the next 3 weeks, Diane, I think it's 3 weeks, right? You're having a series on Marilyn Monroe.
I certainly are, yes. It was meant to be a 1 hour show that we did with a guest, and the file didn't save, so we've lost the show, and I got 2 more guests, and it ended up being a 3 hour instead of a 2 hour because he had so much to say.
Oh, well, now let me ask you this question, and I don't want to give away any of your guests or the main trick of the next 3 weeks on Weird News Weekly, but did anybody compare Monica Lewinsky and Marilyn Monroe?
No, they didn't.
See, to me, Marilyn Monroe was Monica Lewinsky back in the 60s.
Well, Norm said to me why on one show, he said, why do they go on about Clinton and Monica Lewinsky and how terrible it was, but nobody says how terrible it was between Kennedy and Marilyn Monroe? I says, because she wasn't Marilyn Monroe.
What do you think about Marilyn Monroe?
Well, I know the answer, but go ahead, Diane.
What answer?
Why wasn't she Marilyn Monroe?
Well, because they say, Kennedy went out with Marilyn Monroe, and then it's Clinton went out with Monica Lewinsky. That's disgusting. We've got to get rid of him.
But are you saying that Kennedy did not have an affair with Marilyn Monroe?
Oh, yes, I believe he did, yes. It's just that people think, wow, but it's disgusting when Clinton does it.
Yeah. And
there's totally different attitudes.
Yeah.
The United States has gone backwards in the sex thing. We really have. People get so uptight now about things that back then people just blew off.
Can you face your mic more?
I don't know where the mic is on this thing. I'm guessing this setup isn't working.
Well, you're sounding hollow.
You want me to switch to the laptop?
No, you're fine. We'll make it through this show. Go ahead about backward sex. Well, I shouldn't say it that way, but
no, it just seems like even with, let's say the last half of Barack Obama's term, the United States has become so uptight about sexual things. You mentioned, I guess that even goes back to Clinton in the Monica Lewinsky thing, although that might have just been pure politics more than the sex thing. I don't know. It doesn't seem like we're as free thinking now as we were back then.
Free thinking in what way? I in my opinion, we have become a whole lot looser in our thinking of sex. Back in the 60s,
thinking politics for political officials.
Oh, okay. Well, it was taboo to even mention anything about politicians and women and some of the illicit things that were going on amongst our politicians. And there's no secret in the fact that it's been going on for centuries, and yet we just don't talk about it. But now with social media, the way they're looking for anything to demoralize our government or demoralize anybody for that matter, any any impropriety, they jump on it.
Yeah, 'cause nobody mentions Lyndon B. Johnson and his mistress having his illegitimate son.
Yeah, exactly. But you never hear about it. It's not in your history books. There might be some mention about Marilyn Monroe and Kennedy in some history books, but it's not a chapter. It's a paragraph or two, maybe.
What about?
And then they'll only say that it was rumored. I don't think anybody will come out and say that it's an absolute positive fact.
What about Prince Charles and his mistress while he was married to Diane? Did they talk about it over there, Diane, or was it hush hush?
No, they didn't talk about it. It was Diana and Charles that brought it up in interviews. That it all came out. The press knew about it. The press knew that the day on the eve of Charles' wedding, he was seen climbing into a train carriage, and they thought he was meeting Diana, and he wasn't. It was Camilla.
But did they make a big? Oh, you said they did not make a big deal.
No, they didn't mention it. They didn't. The press knew about it, but they didn't mention it at all. And there's a lot of news stories that go out into Europe and America that we never got here. Obviously, now the internet's come along, it's more open, and we can find out more.
Well,
do they give Charles any grief about it now?
No, he married her, didn't he? So, they are changing the stance on royalty.
He married Camilla?
Yes, him and Camilla are married.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, they got married. Now they're reporting spats between her and Katie.
Say that again.
They're reporting spats between her and Katie. Because she didn't like Diana at the time. She spread a lot of rumours about Diana being mentally ill and needing to be locked up, and Kate, and she's still the things that she said Katie doesn't like.
Wow. See, we don't hear any of that over here. Although I'm guessing it's like that over there. You don't hear near as much about the United States as we do.
Oh, I think we do. Yeah, we get a lot on politics and things that are happening in Hollywood, and it's the BBC that reports it all, because they've got a 24-hour news network. They're covering a lot more. They've always covered the world. It's world news, BBC.
Now, do you get any channels? I mean, now I like. How do you get your TV feed when you're watching television? How do you get the signal?
Well, we've got different ways. Of course, we've gone digital now, so you can get it through an aerial, satellite TV, or cable. Okay.
Since you have satellite TV over there, do you get any American network channels?
Only the news. It just seems to be the news that we get, like CBS and Fox and things like that.
Okay.
Because they sell the shows to our stations, you see.
You can't watch ABC and CBS and all that over there?
Yes, we can. It's the news channels. We get those.
But you don't get the sitcoms and all the other entertainment shows.
Well, we get those because they sell. They sell them. It's residuals that they sell. So we get all those as well.
Oh.
But it's on our own, British networks.
Okay, so you do see American TV. Now, in comparison to your local, either UK or Nottingham or whatever, wherever your major news media sources are located, between the U.S. and the UK, which one is more liberal, I guess, about openness towards nudity and sex and that type of stuff? Who's worse, U.S. or Europe?
Europe. Europe is widely open, but we don't. They don't show those shows very often. I mean, you was getting Benny Hill and naked girls.
Oh yeah.
We didn't get that. They had clothes on. They had at least underwear on. We never got naked girls on Benny Hill.
Well, we had almost, but not. No, they were never naked.
Now, Benny Hill, that you mentioned Benny Hill. That's one of my big complaints about you guys over there, is you canceled it. That was one of the funniest shows on television. I just loved it. Did
they cancel it, or did we cancel it?
You cancelled it. Because he moved over to America. And he was working in America, and it was the American networks that cancelled it.
I could watch him 24 hours, 7 days a week. I just think he was the most talented man.
I was related to him.
Really?
Yeah. None of his comedic talents have rubbed off on me, though.
You was one of those half-clad nurses that used to chase him around. No.
No. Too young.
I mean, even without the half-clad women, he was such a talented man.
Oh, his humor was uncanny. It was absolute. And Monty Python was another one that everybody claimed that his humor was so intellectual, but I didn't like Monty Python. But Benny Hill was just absolutely funny.
I liked Monty Python when I was about 10 years old because it was 10 years old humor.
Yeah.
But Benny Hill, his was actually intelligent humor. Adult. I don't mean adult as in sex, but it was funny. He was so talented. Like I said, he could get rid of the...
Now, if Benny...
And I would still watch him.
If Benny Hill was airing on TV today, unfortunately, for those that don't know, Benny Hill has since passed away. But if Benny Hill were running on TV today, Craig, and I don't know, Diane, you can answer too, and Big D, I don't know where you've gone and disappeared to, but you can answer too. If Benny Hill was on TV today with our millennial listeners or millennial audiences, do you think he would be as popular now as he was back in this?
No. He would have gone the same way. I mean, I got his name on the tip of my tongue and I can't think of it. Wrote Blazing Saddles, Mel Brooks.
Another very talented man.
Try to bring back Mel Brooks movies as they were, not the edited versions. Bring back the Mel Blancs, especially Blazing Saddles.
That was a hilarious movie.
And you would have... I mean, he actually was poking fun at racism.
But people today would not recognize that. They would say that he was a racist pig.
Oh, you could not hit... If you played it in the movie theater, after the first show, somebody would have a court injunction against it.
Well, if you want to see racism, go to YouTube and look at the Dean Martin roasts.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
That wasn't racism, Diane.
Well, it wasn't at that time, but it would be now.
Oh, yeah, it is now. But really, it's not racism. If you look up the definition of racism, it's not recognizing races. It's saying that one race is any better or worse than any other. They bastardized the term racism now. Now, if you acknowledge a different race, well, you're a racist pig.
I mean, yeah.
Dean Martin did not do that. They did not. When they would talk to each other and mention race, they joked like buddies joke. Like I would joke about Bill's bald head, or he would joke about my bald head, or my gray beard. You know what I mean? They were jokes. They weren't meant to be offensive in any way, and they weren't taken as offensive.
To me, it was the bar room or hangout club type humor and chatting. Because even in today's society, even though that, in my opinion, even though we look down on anything that mentions another culture or another race or anything, you automatically become a homophobe, a racist, or some fascist or something. We are very quick to categorize people based on their conversation. However, when you are alone with your buddies or hanging out in the pool hall or you're hanging out in a barber shop or you're hanging out in a local club or you're just sitting in somebody's backyard, everything that they criticize on the media is going on and nobody gets angry. I mean, you've got black folks that hang out with white folks, and you have Islamic people hanging out with, and if you want to discuss those types of things and your religions and your races and your difference in cultures, and I mean, we make fun of the people in the South for eating fried chicken, or black people fried chicken and watermelon. And you'll do that in your backyard or in the barbershop or somebody. But if you do that publicly, oh my God, they're gonna ostracize you and hang you from the nearest lamppost.
A couple of good examples. When I worked up at the psych hospital 25 years or so ago, there was a black guy about my age, the same age, early to mid-20s. And him and I just, for whatever reason, we kind of hit it off, and we kind of became buddies while we were at work, and we went out a few times afterwards. You know what I mean?
Yep.
We could sit and mess with each other. And our standard jokes between each other was sex and the reputation of white guys and black guys. And
yep.
we would throw jokes back and forth at each other all the time. He was going to steal my wife, I was going to steal his wife, etc. And then another example, we have a, what would she be to me? She would be a niece that she married a black guy. And our family has get-togethers for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, for birthdays. We get together often. Well, his joke about the white, of course, he's the only black guy in probably 35 to 40 people. And his big joke was, why do you white folks have cheese at every one of your gatherings? And all of us that, were in earshot said, he's right. We always have cheese. And he says every time he goes to a party where white folks are throwing, he says everyone's got a cheese plate.
Well, if you go to a black party, everybody's got fried chicken.
That's right. That's what he said.
Well, it's what it's gotten down to.
I'm sorry, say that again.
What it's gotten down to is, and Bill struck on it, the term racist, sexist. I mean, every time we turn around, they're making up a new phobia. Have you noticed that one?
Oh yeah.
And it's not that you're a racist. It's not that you're a sexist.
But isn't the correct definition of phobia a fear?
Yes.
Yes, an inherent fear or a dread fear of something. There's not a Muslim or a gay person I am afraid of. But if you don't agree with them, if you don't take up their point of view, if you don't accept what they say without question, you're a homophobe, an Islamophobe.
But see, this is where people are confused, D, or they don't know what they're saying, is simply because phobia, as I said, is according to the definition, is a fear of something like acrophobia.
Well, let me.
You're afraid of spiders.
Yeah.
But it's a fear of, and you said there's not an Islamic or a Muslim or a black person or whatever that I'm afraid of. But that's not the way they see it today. It is a classification. It is an identification. They are identifying you as a person who is critical of another culture.
But
it's that you're afraid of them. It's just that you are mocking, chastising, or whatever. And that's where people are wrong.
But think about it, Bill. Here's the psychology behind it. Oh, well, you don't agree with us? You must be afraid of us. You must have some unfounded fear of us. There's something wrong with you.
But see, I don't see it that way, though. That I don't see that being the reason that they're calling people phobias because we're afraid of them. It's just the fact that because we are talking about them, because we are discussing their differences. It's not a fear of talking about Muslims. If we talk about terrorists, yeah, there's a fear of terrorism.
Well,
but we're not saying all Muslims are terrorists, but all terrorists are Muslim.
But here's the psychology behind it, Bill. The people, as a rule, if you don't understand something, you're afraid of something, we have a tendency to rail against it.
Well,
and the thing is, and I've said this for years, Bill, these terms are not people still know what they mean. But the fact is, these terms are not meant to do anything but to make you shut up, curl up in the fetal position in the corner, and not say anything for fear of being labeled.
They are identifying, yes, labeling you, yes.
They pull those names out and draw them like a knife.
They do. And when it's convenient, they make one up.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I'm waiting for Antifa to come up with a phobia name.
What's Antifa?
These anti-fascists, these social justice warriors.
The masked men
the
of our
ones that
society.
Show up and hurt people and spray people with mace and create havoc and chaos and then want to blame others.
And so we are anti-fascists. I don't know.
I'm waiting for commiephobia.
Commiephobia.
I'm serious. I'm waiting for that term.
That's
Antifa-phobia. Nazi-phobia.
I want to go back just a moment, and for sensitive ears, if you don't like the N-word, turn off your radio, turn off your computer, whatever, because I'm going to use the N-word only because I'm going back to what we were talking about a moment ago about the humor that was shared between people of different cultures, different races, and how it was accepted as everyday normalcy. And it's a joke. It's funny. I mean, it's not a joke in the sense that it's made up. It's funny, and it's because this is an actual thing that happened to me, and took me totally off guard, because this happened in mid to late 60s, and I don't know, Craig, if you remember my Mustang Boss that I had.
Yes, I do. You took me for a ride.
We were talking about this, I think, last week, where we were talking about street racing and this, that, and the other. Did I tell the joke about, or the story about the drive-in theater?
I don't recall it.
And I was telling this just the other day to a couple guys when we got talking about cars and street rods and stuff like that. And I guess maybe I was afraid to talk about it on the air. But again, if you have sensitive ears to the N-word, and it's not meant to be, you'll understand after you hear what I'm trying to say. And I'm going to say this, and then we're going to go to break. But my ex-wife, my first wife, got a job at the local drive-in theater. You remember the old theater down there, Craig? And my wife got a job working the ticket booth at the drive-in theater. I hung around the projection booth. That's where I learned projection, operating the switch-over projectors and the old-fashioned carbon-lit projectors. But anyway, we were out there one night, and we hung out at the drive-in theater as most people did in the 60s. And we hung out at the drive-in theater. We had our cars all lined up, and of course, we compared cars, and we were all out there one night, and I had my boss, and I'm proud because I've won many street races, and yeah, the cop, Bill Vallant, used to be a street racer. Yeah, I admit it. But I was a winner. My boss would take them. So anyway, we were at the drive-in theater one night, and in pulls this car, and I mean, it was, by today's standards, it was a Chevy Nova with a 6-cylinder engine. I mean, come on, there was no beefing, there was no hood scoops, there was nothing on this car that would indicate that it was capable of street racing. Okay? You get the picture? So anyway, the guy pulls up, parks his car, and jumps out. Well, it happened to be a black guy. And everybody was kind of okay, because if you remember, back in the 60s, there was some racial tensions back in the 60s. But this guy pulls up, and he gets out, and how y'all doing, and blah, 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 and he's making chatter, and we all started talking back and forth, and nothing was racial, nothing was said in any way, shape, or form about him being black amongst all of us white guys, and so on and so forth. So finally he says to me, "Hey man," he says, "what y'all running under the hood of that thing?" And, of course, I'm bragging up my car, telling him how big this big engine was, and that I could beat anything on the street, from light to light, so on and so forth. No, man. Yo, you ain't going to beat. I got a car over here that would take that car and just lay it to rest. I'm going, what? That thing? You're going to beat me with that thing? And he just kind of smiled, and he said, "Yes, sir, I sure am, and he's just going on. And I said, "Look, you got to let me see what's under that hood." I says, "I want to know what you're running under there, because what I'm seeing ain't going to beat this car, my car." And he says, "Let me tell you, man." He says, I got 18 niggas under that hood with tennis shoes on. And he says, if you ever seen a scared nigga run, he says, I'm going to beat anything. And I mean, we all just cracked up and we just absolutely went berserk with laughter. That he would come out and say something like that. But that is the way we accepted one another back in those days. Now, if that was said today, the baseball bats, the sticks, the clubs, the guns, the knives would all come out and there'd be a battle on the field. But in defense of that, I know black people today that we could have the same conversation today that I had back in the 60s, and not a word would be ever said about it. We'd laugh, we'd joke, we'd continue to drink whatever we're drinking, and so on and so forth. However, if there was a cameraman or somebody with their cell phone and filmed that exchange and stuck it up on Facebook, where do you think I would be today?
You would be vilified.
I'd have been tarred, feathered, and ran out of town.
But really, let's think about this at a very basic level. How is skin color any different than hair color? I have a daughter-in-law that's got the most vibrant red, naturally red hair, and a granddaughter from her that's the same way. Now, I tease my daughter-in-law about her fiery red hair all the time. Heck, at their wedding, I joked, that I have to give a speech. I joked about, okay, Kayla's got to give me my red-headed grandchild that I always wanted. How is that any different, teasing her about her red hair, than teasing a black person about their black skin? Why does it have to be offensive to tease someone, a friend? Why does it have to be offensive to tease someone about their skin color, but it's not offensive to tease someone about their hair color? And look basic. Don't look at it at society. Look at it from a basic level, like two kindergartners in school. They don't see color. You know what I mean?
Right.
My daughter Jenny was in elementary school. She always had very, very long hair. Well, when she first went to school, little black children were in an area where the schools are part black and part white. The little black girls just loved to sit and play with Jenny's hair because they weren't exposed to that. It wasn't a matter of skin color. They just saw something different. I think it's horrible that people have to be sensitive about skin color. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, and I agree with you 100%. I mean, we make fun of people's fat. We make fun of people's pimply face. I mean, we're all bullies in some way, shape, or form, or some fashion, because we've, through our lifetime, at some point, we bullied somebody else because of their difference, whether it was their hair, or whether it was their acne face, or whether it was their fat, or whatever. I mean, polio was a big thing back in the 50s, and young people were born with polio that caused a defective arm, and there were people that would make fun of that individual. You remember Dan Sitzler used to be in my class. He had a polio arm, but we accepted him as one of us. But there were still people that made fun of him because he had a crippled arm. Dave, the guy that sits in with me at city council meetings on Monday nights here on the radio, he's got it's a muscular dystrophy or multiple sclerosis, I don't remember, but he's got a defective arm. And it's caused him problems when he's tried to go to work. Even though he can use that arm to a certain level, he might get like 80% use of that arm, but because of a 20% disability in that arm, he's ostracized. So we've always picked on people that were a little bit different than us.
I guess
it was just a way. It was just a different form. To me, Craig, it was just a different form of bullying. But I like your comparison that children do not see color. They don't see differences. Yes, they might ask questions. Mommy, why is that guy's arm so funny? Or why is that guy walking different? Or this, that, and the other. But mothers back then took the time to explain, why somebody had a deformity or something, where today they said, don't worry about it, honey, just stay away from them people.
I wasn't talking about bullying, Bill. I was talking about buddies getting together and teasing each other, people that were friends or family or whatever, and teasing each other about.
Oh, no. Craig, no. I know what you're saying. To people that got together, it was not bullying. But when you got to school and you picked on that redhead,
yes,
that was bullying. I can go back to my grade school days and I could point out a number of kids that were being bullied, and I can tell you who was doing the bullying simply because it was fun and it was amusing to bully somebody because they were different, whether it was their skin, their hair, their size, whatever.
I was bullied because of my pop bottle thick glasses.
There you go. There you go.
Diane, I have to like this over also.
But in your social group, nobody even noticed them glasses.
No.
Diane, what do you think of this? What's over in Europe? What is the differences over there? Are they reacting, and is phobias as defined over there as it is here?
Oh yes, if you disagree with them, it's homophobic because it sounds better than homobias. But there's been a case brought up today. Actually, it was on the news. To stop bullying and things, they're evidently looking at segregation because there was a female on a train and she was assaulted twice by two different men. And so now they've suggested having train carriages for females. And it's segregation, and that's not learning them. You don't do that. That's learning them that, oh, well, you segregate. We can't get to you, but we'll wait until you get off the train.
Well, it's just it's sad that America and the world, excuse me. It's sad that we have come to a point in our society where we allow these types of things to disrupt our way of living, and although you go back 2,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, back to biblical times, you were still seeing the exact same thing that we're seeing today. People shunned lepers, and people made...
That's because they had a disease that they could catch.
Well, I mean, we have AIDS today, and we have other communicable diseases that we don't shun people particularly for it. There are groups and people that will, yes. But there are also ways that we go out of our way to help certain individuals.
Well, leprosy wasn't curable then, so they sort of formed their own colony and took themselves out of society.
Well, I understand that, and again, but I'm just saying that people have been ostracized for many reasons. They made fun of the blind beggar. They made fun of they killed prostitutes. I mean, if you were caught in prostitution, you were stoned, especially if you laid down with a married man.
That still counts today. You know, a woman in Dubai can't be raped.
Cannot be raped?
No.
Why?
Because there was a case recently where a woman claimed to be raped by two British men in her hotel room in Dubai. She was on her way to Australia, actually, and she reported it to the police, and they arrested her for extramarital sex, even though she wasn't married.
Really?
Yes, and she had a hell of a job to get out.
Wow.
She was in prison for about a month or so.
Wow. Craig, do you still want to go to Dubai?
Well, he's not female, is he?
He's got a friend over in Dubai.
You know, a couple things that I wanted to comment on.
Make them quick, and then we're going to go to break.
All right. Yesterday I went to the zoo, the local zoo, and I've got a powered wheelchair. And I don't sit straight up and down very long. I have to lay on my side, which is the reason wheelchair. I don't walk much. And I had quite a few kids that looked at me, and you could tell in their eyes they wanted to come up and ask questions. But the adults, they went out of their way to help me. Every little thing to get in and out of doors, things like that. So that there is none of that picking on when you're an adult that there is as kids. Do you know what I mean? That has changed throughout the years.
I'll agree with that, and it just reinforces the fact that there's actually more good people out there. There's more good being done for each other, more people being helped by other people than we actually realize, because our media has made a profession of demoralizing our society because of the imperfections that we have in our civilizations.
Well, they're making a big deal of the racism, and they make it sound like all whites hate blacks.
Exactly.
And it just isn't like that.
Well, it was CNN. I was reading a big article about CNN, how they are the ones that were inviting Antifa to Arizona to protest when Trump was going to speak in Arizona. And it was CNN that actually did the inviting or the encouragement and pumped up the local empathy, if you will, so that Arizona had to establish perimeters, and they had to establish anti-riot before it ever even occurred, or there was any indication that it was going to occur. But because of CNN getting on the network and advertising that the rioters and Antifa was heading to Arizona, blah, 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 and they were making quite a big deal about it, that it was CNN that was stirring them up. And there was some rioting, and the people showed up with gas masks.
Well,
and they showed up wearing masks, and they had confrontations with some black groups, and the black groups were saying, "Hey, take off your mask. Take off your mask." And they started chanting, "Mask off, mask off, mask off." And then the other side the Antifas were saying, excuse me, the Antifas were saying, he's a cop, he's a cop, he's a cop. And so then they started chanting. And before you knew it, there was the fisticuffs. And it was hilarious because one video I saw, the cops throws out the tear gas canister, and one of the Antifas runs over and kicks the can back into the law enforcement, or back at the law enforcement, and he turns around and mocks them. He goes, yeah, take that, you take your own tear gas and pack it. And he was wearing a face mask, and he had a gas mask on as well. And he took one right to the groin, a rubber bullet. And so the caption, of course, under the video was, you can come with a gas mask to a riot, but don't forget your cup, So, I mean, it was a joke. It was a joke. And, of course, that's a whole new ball game. We're going to take a quick break here and allow you to refill your coffee cups and what have you. And then we're going to come back and talk about Paul Ryan, if I can get my voice straightened out here. We're going to come back and talk about the idiocy of Paul Ryan. We shall be back right after this.
Baby, last night was hands down one of the best nights that I've had, no doubt. Between the bottle of wine and the look in your eyes and the Marvin Gaye, then we danced in the dark under September stars in the pouring rain. And I know that I can't ever tell you enough that all I need in this life is your crazy love. If I never get to see the northern lights, or if I never get to see the Eiffel Tower at night, or if all I got is your hand in my hand, baby, I could die a happy man. Happy man, baby. Baby, that red dress brings me to my knees. Oh, but that black dress makes it hard to breathe. You're a saint, you're a goddess, the cutest, the hottest, a masterpiece. It's too good to be true, nothing better than you in my wildest dreams. And I know that I can't ever tell you enough that all I need in this life is your crazy love. If I never get to see the northern lights, or if I never get to see the Eiffel Tower at night, or if all I got is your hand in my hand, baby, I could die a happy man, yeah. No fancy destination, baby, you're my great escape. We can stay at home, listen to the radio, dance around the fireplace. If I never get to build my mansion in Georgia, I drive a sports car up the coast of California. Oh, if all I got is your hand in my hand, baby, I could die a happy man. Baby, I could die a happy
BNNS Radio, because so much is riding on your tires. Wait, what?
Rattle, rattle, thunder, clatter, chug, chug, chug. If this is how your car is sounding, you need to call 815-544-0537. That's right, my friends. Belvedere Auto Clinic, located 301 West Locust Street, Belvedere, Illinois. Call and ask for Tom. He can make your car run like new. That's right. Belvedere's best-kept little secret is Belvedere Auto Clinic. You need to call today, 815-544-0537. Come on, do it now.
Just when you thought it was safe to turn on your computer. The Morning Show with Uncle Bill on BNNS Radio.
Whether looking to buy a vehicle or in need of repairs, State Street Auto Rebuilders specialise in restoration, street rod building, collision repair and towing, as well as being a used car dealership and rentals. Located at 420 Fairview Street, Belvedere, Illinois, State Street Auto Rebuilders have been in business since 1982. For quotes and service, telephone State Street Auto Rebuilders on area code 815-544-7013.
All right, we are back here live in our studios, and those little shout-outs go out to our sponsors and supporters of BNNS Radio. Belvedere Auto Clinic on 301 West Locust Street in Belvedere, Illinois, and State Street Auto Rebuilders at over on Fairview, and 420 Fairview. Couldn't remember the address. 420 Fairview Street. Tom will make your car run like new, and Mr. Kit over there at State Street Auto Rebuilders will make your car look like new. So do me a favor. And then we have country markets up in Poplar Grove, the Poplar Grove Country Market. And that's where you can go buy some of the best meat that you'll ever find in northern Illinois. They have a good meat selection up there, as well as a lot of other groceries also, but they are a great supporter of BNNS Radio. Just and do me a favor and go and support them as well, because they support us. We need to support them, and you need to support them as well, because they're the ones that keeps us going here. Just a couple change of our announcements. The week of September 3rd, there will be no live programming for the morning show with Uncle Bill, as I'm just taking some time off. We're going to be doing some maintenance work here at the studio, and we're going to be doing some changes, and so we're going to be taking a week in September to do that. And it's the beginning of a holiday weekend anyway, so give you guys a chance to do what you do over the holiday as we begin to, and it's going to take us several days. Right now, outside the studio, they are doing our fellowship hall, and they're recarpeting, retiling the kitchen, recarpeting and there is some talk that they may be coming into the radio studio with carpeting as well. So we're looking towards that we may have to make room for that. Also, I want to announce that beginning tonight at 7 o'clock is the debut of the 2017 season of Belvedere Sports Huddle with Paul Arco and Michelangelo and the rest of the crews. And we begin our sports show tonight at 7 o'clock, and that'll run on Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock until basketball season. And then when basketball season begins, it'll switch over to Thursday nights. But for now, just keep 7 o'clock on Wednesday nights open so that you can tune in to Belvedere Sports Huddle with Paul Arco and his co-host. And he has different co-hosts, so we just name Paul Arco as our sports specialist for local sports. And we do talk some national sports and other things of that as well. But it's mainly for local sports news for our high school activities and those sort of things. Also, don't forget to join us on Thursday nights at 6 o'clock for Weird News Weekly, and especially the next 3 weeks. If you were a Marilyn Monroe fan or you liked Marilyn Monroe and you want to know the complete history of Marilyn Monroe, join Diane. And Diane, are you still with me?
Yes, I'm still here. Filled my coffee cup.
Oh, I'm sorry. The only reason I coming in here is who's your co-host? Norm. Yeah, I couldn't think of it. Is Norm on the show with you for the next 3 weeks?
No, he'll be off on the third week. I'm letting him have the day off for his birthday.
Because I thought you said something about during the eclipse that he probably didn't even know why that there was an eclipse going on.
Yeah, well, at the moment, as far as I know, he's still there in the woods in a log cabin with no internet, and he never mentioned the eclipse, so he probably didn't know it was going to happen.
Well, I didn't want to mention that he was gone, but anyway.
He's been gone a long time.
Oh, okay. So is he a natural woodsman, or he just?
No, he just likes he's living in luxury. They've got an outdoor spa and they've got TV and everything like that. So he's not giving it all up.
Does he take a case of whiskey along with him? Because how does a person survive today without internet?
Oh, well, he did try climbing a tree last time.
I mean, we are so hooked on internet and our cell phones that, people actually freak out if they lose a phone or they lose the internet service. They freak out. They don't know what to do. We've become so dependent on those sources that without them, we're in a... Well, if we didn't have the internet, we wouldn't be talking right now, would we?
Well, I didn't have internet for the Beatles show that was on last week, where we was an hour late doing that because I didn't have no internet for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I couldn't contact anybody, and they was waiting for me.
Well, I was beginning to have my doubts about this morning for some reason. Our system here, when I booted up I started to turn on my system here for this morning's show, and everything was running so slow, and I couldn't get the computer up and running, and it was like, am I even going to be able to do a show today? Because I couldn't get my music player to load, and I rebooted 3 times in order to get things, and so we're up and running, and so I guess that's the most important thing. But the computer upstairs is acting up as well. Our mainframe is, I don't know what it's doing, but anyway, hopefully our IT guy has been here and corrected that, and Karen's getting her work done, and that sort of thing. So let's see, is there anything else that I'm missing? I can't think of anything right now.
Just check out the chat box. Miss Elizabeth's in there, and she's anchoring for chicken wings since you mentioned them. And Perry wants to know if the man with the car, if you beat him.
Oh, we never ran. We never ran. But
you know, Bill, there's such a thing as sleepers.
Sleepers?
Yes. Right now, for street racers, there's when I was in high school, the big thing was to put wide tires on it, jack the back up, and hood scoop and all that so that the car looked like it was fast.
Yeah.
Well, now they're making cars that are totally sleepers. They look just like your car, but it's got a big engine in it. And it's all, computer tuned and super, super, super fast. They call them sleepers because no one expects them to be fast.
No, I guess I never heard it. Being 72, I guess I'm out of that phase right now. I tried to spin the wheels on my Traverse the other day, and it wouldn't work, so I'm out of the racing business.
Well, the cars they're selling now, straight from the factory, would blow away most cars from the 70s.
Really?
Yes, that's the big thing right now, is how fast your car is.
Now, really, why? Why are they doing that? Why? And again, this is going to totally take me off the subject I intended to cover here for a minute. But why do they allow the automotive manufacturers? I know it's supply and demand. I understand that. But why do they allow it? And why do they allow cars to go 120 miles an hour when our speed limits are only 65? I mean, why don't they govern cars like they used to and govern trucks like they used to, that you could go 10, 15 miles over the speed limit, and that was just to give you that added boost if you had to pass somebody. But for the most part, you had the pedal to the metal, and if the speed limit was 55, like it was back then, you could only go 65, 70 at the max.
I think it's Europe that's influenced that, because you got your Autobahn in Germany, and there is no speed limit. Right. And that I could never understand that. And I watched a complete documentary one time about that Autobahn, and that in Germany. Is the Autobahn the one that's in Germany? Yeah, it's another name for your speedway. Okay, so I watched a documentary, and the number of crashes and the number of deaths that occur on those roads, I can't imagine them not controlling that. And of course, I guess it's free will. But there and again, if everybody's doing 110 miles an hour and you're putzing along at 70... Are you sure it's Autobahn? Because they have less crashes than we do in the UK on our motorways. Well, now, according to this documentary, they said there's a lot more deaths on the Autobahn than you think there is. It might be smaller ones. They're putting lines in now, so that you've got, if you're in this same box between these two white lines, then you need to slow down. Well, maybe they're comparing it to the fact that if you're on the Autobahn doing 120 miles an hour, you have a crash, you're going to die. More chances than not. Where here, where we have controlled speed limits, if you're doing excessive speeds, you may have a crash, but you're not going to die necessarily. And we put so much emphasis on seat belts and so on and so forth, that your chances of dying are far less because of airbags and seat belts and all that kind of stuff. So, and of course, maybe it's that way over in the Autobahn too, because if you're doing 120, you still have airbags and seat belts. Now, whether people use them or not, I don't know. Do they have laws requiring people to use seat belts? Yes. It's you've got to have a seatbelt unless you've got a doctor's certificate to say that you can't wear it. Okay. I think that's the same way it is here.
Look at the crotch rockets that they're selling. They come straight from the factory. There's one of them they sell does 178 mile an hour from the factory without souping it up.
See, and that, to me, that's so ludicrous to allow that. Because there's going to be some idiot out there that's going to get on there and prove that they can do 178 miles an hour.
There's videos on YouTube of them doing it on the Autobahn.
Huh. Oh, I don't know.
It was chasing 2 or 3 crotch rockets. I'll have to send you the link to the video. It's scary just to watch the video. The speeds that they're running.
Well, you can go on YouTube and you can find video after video after video where these crotch rocketers have mounted cameras on their bikes and how they zigzag in and out of traffic and take corners, and tip way over to the side, blah, blah, blah. It's all kinds of videos of that out there too. But I just think it's ridiculous. But that's me, former cop. I just think we should put some control on it. And I just don't see, I do not understand any reason in the world we have to build motors in cars today that allow people to go 150, 160 miles an hour.
Did you think that way when you had your Boss Mustang?
Absolutely not.
Which is why they don't build them like that.
It brings up an interesting question. Every time I bring it up, most tickets are just money making for the state.
But I believe you just hit the nail on the head, Dee. That's why they allow it, because it's a money generating thing for local cities.
I actually had a local state representative down here tell me to my face, oh, well, we can't dictate to the car companies what kind of motor they can put in a car. Really? But you can dictate everything else about that car.
But not only cars, but they dictate everything else. They put restrictions on a lot of different appliances and products that they put out there.
Yeah, but think about how asinine that comment sounds. Because you require the government requires them to have seat belts and airbags and this and that and go through all kinds of testing, but they can't tell them what kind of motor to put in the car.
Yeah,
they can't tell them to restrict the speed. Please.
And they also have forced automotive manufacturers to use different varieties of audio equipment in a vehicle. As simple as that sounds.
Why, that's like, hell, they can even dictate what kind of fuel you put in your car. But they can't stop them from making a car that will go 140 plus miles an hour off the showroom floor.
Yeah.
See, this is why we tell people here on the show, Bill, look past the headline. Read between the lines. Make yourself more informed. Don't be afraid to ask a question. If it doesn't sound right, if it doesn't look right, then apparently it's not right. Going back, we were talking about. You were talking about the all these riots and these activists. It's like Donald Trump's under fire right now because he did not name certain groups by name.
Yeah.
He just said that the hate has to quit. Because for some reason, these anti-fascist groups and these social justice warriors can go out, can start mayhem, can start riots, can hurt people, but they never get named as a hate group.
Well, I like the part where that Donald Trump said that both sides were at fault, and there were good people on both sides.
That was the only time I've agreed with him.
Well, if I always read these articles and then I go down and read the comment sections under them, and guys, I'm here to tell you, we see what happened in Charlottesville. And I don't care what the news media puts out or doesn't put out. We've said on this show right here that leaving out facts or blatantly omitting facts is the same as lying. And I'm going to tell you right now, this other group, okay, was it neo-Nazis? Was it skinheads? Were there these white supremacist groups there? Yes, they were. There were also a lot of other people that did not belong to those groups. And the night before, they had a very peaceful protest or march and rally. Nobody got hurt. And I don't even know that, I didn't even read stories where they left a big mess behind. But the very next day, as soon as Antifa and as soon as BLM showed up, everything hit the fan.
But on the news here, it said that one group was protesting, and the other group didn't have a permit to protest, and they shouldn't have been there.
No, that's the thing. Antifa did not have any permits. They just had a big thing on Facebook, and everybody showed up. But they're keying in on this one girl that got killed. Now, please understand, I am heartbroken that there was one moron that drove his car into the crowd and this girl got killed. I am heartbroken. I don't care what her political stance is. Nobody should die in a protest. But everybody's keyed in on that. Nobody's keyed in on the fact of how many people got hurt because they got pepper sprayed at point blank zero or hit with a stick or beat up just because.
I guess what gets me too with our system, the way it works, is that if we put something out on YouTube, we get blanked, we get blocked because somebody complained and we violated a copyright, or we're putting out pornography, or we're putting out something that is gross and inappropriate, blah blah blah. You get blocked. And people have been forced to, or their Facebooks have been closed up because they were posting inappropriate material and so on and so forth. However, Antifa has their own Facebook site that they post rally notices and riot notices, and yet they don't do anything to block them or stop them from promoting hatred.
No, they've actually promote going to these things and hurting people.
Yes.
What was it? They had a rally about, or a protest about a year ago, and this one young one, she's an elementary school teacher, but she heads the local Antifa chapter. And this one kid was out there, and he wasn't saying what she liked, so she starts kicking him and punching him and slapping him, and this kid's holding his hands up. This guy is holding his hands up. He will not touch her. And she's just pushing him and shoving him and pulling his hair, and the cops are standing there. Cops aren't doing a thing.
Well, I'm going to use that as, because we're down to almost 10 minutes just left in the show, and I want to use that as a segue into the last thing I want to cover today, because this isn't going to stick around on the internet very long. Unless somebody personally downloads it. What can be done to prevent and intervene in the growth of far-right extremism and white supremacy? You have an answer, D?
Read that again.
Craig and Diane, listen up. I want you to answer this as well. What can be done to prevent and intervene in the growth of far-right extremism and white supremacy?
I can simply tell you, point fingers. Now, I understand I don't agree with white supremacists, but I can tell you this. Start pointing fingers at groups like Antifa and Black Lives Matter.
Wrong answer.
Quit trying to do political correctness.
Wrong answer. Craig, what do you think?
I have no clue. I don't know.
Wrong answer. Diane, what do you think?
You've got to change the children's attitudes.
Wrong answer. You want to know the right answer? Listen to this.
I'd say two things. Number one, we've got to do a better job of making sure that criminals don't get guns, or that people who are suspected of terrorism, like domestic terrorism, don't get guns.
There's your answer.
Yeah, ban the gun.
Stop criminals from getting guns. That was our speaker that said that. Paul Ryan, speaking at a town hall in Racine, Wisconsin, hosted by CNN, was asked that question. How do we stop or prevent and intervene in the growth of far-right extremism and white supremacy?
But they're not using guns.
Keep guns away from criminals.
I think they ought to keep cars away from them.
And baseball bats and mace.
You know, Bill,
I just about fell out of my chair when I heard that.
Bill, I want to take a second to say you were absolutely correct. Back when Paul Ryan was offered the Speaker of the House position, remember we did that news?
Yep.
And how he had to think about it and then said, well, I'll take it, but I have to have it under these conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And you said this is not going to turn out well. This guy has turned into a buffoon. He really has.
I do think, though, that there's people being called white supremacists, but they're not. You know, I mean, I don't want to be called a white supremacist because I disagree that they're going to take a statue down of Robert E. Lee, and you can't have the Confederate flag. It's part of your history.
Yeah, but it's too late, Diane. You already are a white supremacist strictly because of the color of your skin. That's what it's gotten down to.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Bill, many years ago, that really...
Bill's a skinhead.
Bill said something many years ago that if the people in power would just say, Bill said, why don't they tell these minority idiots, not colored of their skin minority, but these little fringe groups, why don't they tell them to just shut up and sit down? But instead, they give them all kinds of
room. Well, they always... Go ahead.
They give them all kinds of room to do what they want to do. The cop back up and let them go.
But have you noticed why they're doing it? Oh, they're violating our First Amendment rights. Well, wait a minute. But they don't have, it's certain groups in this country, they holler, oh, they're violating our First Amendment, and everybody backs up and hides. Well, other groups do the exact same thing, and they shoot them with rubber bullets.
Well, and according to Paul Ryan, now, in order to prevent any acts of terrorism, we need to make sure that idiots don't get a car.
Oh, my God. Now we've got to have background checks to buy a car.
Yep.
I wonder if they're going to put a 14-day waiting period on it. Oh, isn't this hysterical? I'd like to buy a pickup truck. Okay, well, you pay for it, but you can't have it for 14 days. We want to make sure you cool off.
But they don't buy them, they rent them. It's cheaper.
Oh, that's going to help commerce if they activate that. Okay, we can rent you the truck, but you can't have it for 14 days. But I've got a delivery of a perishable food. I'm sorry. We've got to make sure you're not going to drive it through a crowd.
Well, this is just the idiocy to me. Like I said, I almost fell out of my chair, and when I heard that, and they compared that to the guy driving his car into the group of people killing a young woman, and what's that got to do with guns? I couldn't make the connection. Keep the guns out of the hands of a criminal, and yet it was a car that killed the woman. I can't make. If you listen to the entire video, that's what he's alluding to.
Yeah, where's the connection?
I don't know.
I said it's there somewhere. Bill, we don't see the big picture, Bill.
I guess not. Well, listen, we have come down to the last few minutes of this show. Diane, thank you so much for joining me today on the morning show. And don't forget to stay tuned 6 o'clock for the next 3 weeks on Thursday nights for Diane and Weird News Weekly as they do a 3-week a story of Marilyn Monroe. Don't forget to stay tuned for Focus on Mental Health immediately coming up following this show at 10 o'clock. And join us tonight at 7 o'clock for Belvedere Sports Huddle. God bless you. God bless America. God loves you. Always has and always will. Don't ever forget that. I'm your host, Bill Vallant, also known as Uncle Bill of BNNS Radio, where you can get real-time answers to almost anything. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday. God bless. Big D.
All right. It's been another 2 hours of the morning show with Uncle Bill, the guy that knows all, sees all, hears all, and will tell you all, even if you don't want to hear it. Hey, we'd like to thank our crack researchers, Craig. We'd like to thank our info babe, Diane, for being here from the UK. And I'm your co-host, Big D, the guy that's got one camera, one mic, and I'm going to say something that's going to make somebody mad, usually Uncle Bill. Hey, y'all take care. Get out there, read, educate yourselves. Read between the lines and ask questions. Don't accept things for face value anymore. Y'all take care. See you Monday. May God keep you safe, and love you. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
I rediscovered a red-headed stranger, got down with old James Brown, and found new grass revival. If you find your way back, I owe you a beer, a 4-mile record year. Golden Oats and Hank's halftime, a pound of known is a heart of mine. Song for song, I pass my time with these speakers on 10. Your good dog gets me up all night. I'm either gonna get over you or I'm gonna blow out my ears. Yeah, you're out there now doing God knows how, but I'm stuck here having a record year.
You're listening to Belvedere's Network News and Sports Radio, bringing you the best in Internet radio. That's BNNSradio.com. All day, every day. BNNSradio.com. Stay tuned to BNNS Radio for more great shows like Cop Disclosure, The Morning Show with Uncle Bill, focused on mental health, and the ever-popular Belvedere Sports Huddle and Belvedere City Council. All here on BNNSradio.com and 87.9 on the FM dial. BNNS Radio. Radio of the future.